Hello and welcome to Pointer. The goal of this video is to build a compound which will generate right triangles. Now, because I want to reuse this, I'm going to put this in a new project. And it's a new project, and I'm going to call it RIGHT-triangle. And we'll put this into a directory quadruple A. Okay. Now, to get started, first thing I probably ought to have is a triangle. Well, I'm going to build my triangles out of polygons. So let's look at the sample dnds. Pull this over here. Do a commit. Well, it's a triangle, but it's not a right triangle, and it's not adjustable to whatever points I want to have. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a asset, and I'm going to call it points, and do a commit. And then what I can do is I can plop down a couple points. And tell you that, okay, my points is pointer $points. Well, that's great, but it's not a triangle. If I add another point, it is a triangle, but it's not the right triangle that I want. Okay, let's delete that point. And let's go back and let's figure out how to do this. Well, given the points are, the first and second column of the points matrix, what I probably can do is I can grab the first point, or the x-coordinate of the first point and the y-coordinate of the second point, and add that to my points array. Well, I'm going to try to make this a little less typing. By doing that, and then we will use points equals points. Commit. Everything's still the same. And now what I want to do is I want to say, okay, but what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take these points and I'm going to do a C bind on them with another vector, that vector having this number here for the x and this number here for the y. So let's do that. And I'm going to do C bind. And the vector that I'm talking about is points, bracket 1, comma 1, the x value of the first vector, and points, bracket 2, comma 2, the y value of the second vector. Now if I do that, hey, it worked. If I move this around, we have a rectangle. And you notice that the vertex depends upon the first and the second, and it's determined that way, because the x value is always going to be the value of the first, the y value is always the value of the second of the right angle vertex. Okay, I can change the fill and all sorts of things, but what I want is I want to turn this into a function. Well, I could put the word function in front of it. And then I would need this to be in the body. let's push this forward. But there's a problem with this, and that is that I have to evaluate that function then. But in order to evaluate the function, I need this to be closed in parentheses, round parentheses. And now I can evaluate it. Commit. Well, what I'm going to do is I want this to be the argument. Paste. And put some ... here. And then points equals points, comma, so that I'm using the points from up here, or let's just do pointer dollar points. For proof of concept. Then this thing is no longer exists. And I will take this stuff and put it here. Do a ... So the polygon is defined here. Well, actually, let's just leave it like this. And function is closed here, and this is how it works. If I want, I can make the fill red. And the stroke width, say, 5. Just for as an example. Okay, this is really great, except it's not exactly what we wanted. What we wanted was a compound. So I'm going to take this anonymous function, and I'm going to cut it, and I'm going to bring it back up here, and I'm going to do a, well, we need a name for our compound. What is our compound doing? Well, it's doing a right triangle, so let's call it right triangle. Now it's a compound, so that has this funny assignment. And then the next we'll have the function body, or the function paste. And probably I want to go and indent this a bit. Now let's look and see why we've got a problem. Well, I want this to be right triangle of this. And let's try it. Well, okay, just to convince myself that it's working. It's working. All right, so that pretty much sums it up. We now have a bona fide compound, right triangle, and it can generate triangles. I hope you enjoyed this, and we're going to use this in the next video, which will deal with building a drag and drop snippet to create right triangles. Thank you, and have a nice day, and stay safe.